All right, so we're live once again with Sister Taiwo Williams. We've been at this all morning and we finally have a great connection, it looks like. So
Yeah,
um,
sounds like it.
I want to thank you, Sister, for having some patience with me and patience with this whole broadcast.
Okay, no
Um,
problem.
I want you to, of course, start by just giving us a background about you, about yourself, where you come from.
Okay. Well, I was born in London. I've been in London all my life, really. Husband, he wanted to move back to the Caribbean in 2012. He's from Dominica. I'm a Commonwealth of Dominica because we have land over here. So he wanted to move back because he missed home. And I remember always saying to him a long time ago, I always said that I wanted to go back home, whether it was in the Caribbean or Africa. So it was the right thing, and my children are grown up. And so I just said, okay, I'm ready to go home. So we went to Dominica. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, yeah, we were in Dominica for a few years. And then the tropical Erica came. And so we came to Guadeloupe, because we both have European and it was easier to be here because the one, but I didn't know. I mean, I know about Guadeloupe being in the French Caribbean, but I didn't know that because it's in the Caribbean, I still thought they'd still speak English, and only to find out that it's just a French country. So it was for me, But nonetheless, my actual profession is I've worked as a counsellor for many years in London, but I've also done, before I was doing that, I was working in with people who are learning English. So I refreshed up on all my skills, and now I'm working as a teaching English as a foreign language tutor in Guadeloupe. That's what I'm doing now.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that, sister. Isn't that interesting that you used to assist people with
Yeah.
learning English, and now you have to learn French?
And now I have to learn. Oh God, it's just. I think I don't understand. I don't. Often ask, why am I in this situation? Because it's not easy being in a country where the English is not the first language. And it's kind of ironic for me because, yes, I come from England and I speak English and I wanted to speak Yoruba. I can speak a little bit of Yoruba, but I can understand it more than I can speak it. And yet here I am in another country where I can't speak the language and I've got to learn, and I'm really resisting it, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because it's a European language.
Exactly. Now, the question,
yeah.
you being from Britain and whatnot, obviously I have to ask the question. You just had the what turned out to be a huge scandal with the whole Windrush situation and whatnot.
Yeah.
And anybody who is not aware of what Windrush is, it is the generation of people that came up post World War II, I think, and people from the Caribbean and other places, Black people,
World War II,
right, who came up
and
right, and they
basically they were coming to clean up the crap that
exactly
after World War II. That's it. And they thought that they were just going to be there for a few years, use them as slaves, and then go back to their colonies. But it didn't turn out that way. So
right. What was that like for you? I mean, hearing about that and whatnot. What was your impression of that?
It was very deep for me because my husband's from the Caribbean. I have a lot of friends from the Caribbean. In fact, most of my friends are from the Caribbean, but they were born in England as myself. And my godmother is from the Caribbean. Well, she was from the Caribbean. She's passed now. So it resonated with me a lot, even though it's not really inclusive of my upbringing because I was brought up in an African Yoruba home. So it's slightly different, from being brought up, I guess, in the Caribbean household, but it's still the same in a sense. But it still resonated with me deeply because it was affecting my friends and family. People that I know have been affected by the Windrush scandal. And at the end of the day, in extension, it's me as well, because at the end of the day, we're all the same. We just come from different branches of the tree, you know?
Right, right. I hear you. I actually did a small presentation on that because there was a gentleman, I think he's a parliamentarian. His name is David Lammy or something. And
Oh,
he
yeah, David Lammy, yeah.
and he gave a impassioned speech about it. And he was talking about a brief summary of Windrush, of the British in the Caribbean. And he was talking about 1623, the British came to the Caribbean. Well,
Yeah.
I was speaking to a few people and I told them, when he said that,
Yeah.
you realize the British, it was actually this island that the British came to, St. Kitts, right? They came here. You know, this was their first colony here in St. Kitts, right? And I was doing a bit of a lecture.
Yes, I know.
And I was telling them, you know, the British came here by about 1625. Them and the French had wiped out the natives here.
Right.
Who they met here. By 1625, they came in 1623. By at least 1625, 26, they wiped out all the natives. And by at least 1639, we know of, Africans were already here.
Right.
They brought Africans over to replace these people to work them, right?
Right.
And, you know, they used African people, black people, all the way up, all the way through emancipation in 1834 into 1838, which was the end of official
end,
right,
of
1838, right. So, and then these people had the nerve to really, you know, again in World War I, force people to fight for Britain, and then World War II, force people to fight for Britain. From these countries, which were impoverished. These countries were absolutely decimated. They were impoverished, these countries.
Colonialism did that. Colonialism did that.
Right. They impoverished these countries because you left these African people with nothing. And then you just say, well, you know, forget it. And then you leave, and then you still use them in Windrush to help build back the country. And then look at what's happening now. So it's
like a kind of big, when I saw that, I said, it's just like a big circle. It's just come back round again.
You keep using these people and then discard them, right? Yeah. So that was Windrush. So it's just, you know, I had to ask you because, you know, black people in general in Britain seem to have different outlooks on this. And I wanted to ask you because, as you said, you are from a Yoruba home. How did you see it? You know, coming through your lens, how did you see it? So, you know, it's just interesting to hear you say, you know, it didn't affect you personally, but it affected people around you, and because you're historically rooted, you understand.
Yes, definitely. I definitely understand what's going on, and I see it. I mean, I even saw it before all of that, because at the end of the day, you know, when I was, you know, living in England, I always used to ask myself, do I belong there? There was this kind of pertinent questions I used to ask. Am I belonging? Do I belong there?
What do you mean? What?
Because I never belonged in England. I never belonged there. That's why from young, I had this yearning to go to either Africa or the Caribbean. You know, I had this yearning, even before I met my husband, it's when I was a teenager. I always had this yearning to go, because I did not belong in England. I never felt like I belonged. I got on with it. You know, I had my children, I did my education and everything like that. But there was still a sense of me that didn't feel like I belonged there, you know? So when this whole Windrush scandal happened, I thought, well, there you go. Chicken's coming home to roost now, you know? So.
No, I met you, well, not met you, but we came into contact with each other through a Facebook group for IFA, right?
Yes.
Because I'm a young man. In my country, it's actually illegal to practice what we call, what's called up here, obia.
Yes.
Right? Which is just another name that they gave to African spiritual practice.
Yes. And it's kind of Caribbean wide. They say obio, dapi, or all that.
There you go. So I was, you know, I'm always looking for more rooting in African culture. Yeah. And I met you through a group. And I was surprised when I learned that you were in Guadeloupe, because I always wondered, how is it? How is the response to someone who is a practitioner? Because I have never met personally a practitioner of an African spiritual tradition in the Caribbean. or someone who would actually say that they were. If you told somebody in Guadeloupe that you practice Ifa, what was the first response?
Well, I think I haven't really sort of really said it out loud here, because I think for me it's been a language barrier. You know, they all speak French here. It's either French or Creole, and you very rarely meet people who speak English. You know, so I mean, I've met a few, and I've sort of said it to them, and they kind of just went on to another subject. They want to know. First of all, just to talk about Africanness, it's really weird, because it's a strange thing here. It's a very strange thing when it comes to identity in this country, because this, as you know, is an overseas department. So it's an overseas department from France. Okay.
Sure.
And so they say, je suis français, Francois, which they say that I am French.
Huh.
That's what they say. Je suis Francois. They're saying out and loud they're French. But on the other undercurrent of it all, they have Africa, because, you know, I think I sent a drumming thing. They have that every Saturday in the town centre. They have that very strong, and it's Africa. I hear it's called guaca, which is a genre of music they have over here, which is just beating of the drums, and it's just African call and response, you know, singing. It's call and response, you know, somebody will be the main singer, and then the drummers and everybody will respond, and then they have African dancers. But so you have that on the kind of underbelly of what's happening in Guadeloupe, you know, but then there's this kind of proudness of being French. And then when you talk to them about, I mean, just talking to them about Africa is like a no-no. It's a taboo. It's a very kind of schizophrenic existence here when it comes to identity, definitely. It really depends who you bump into. And it's not even about being a one generation from the next. It's a melange, which is like a mixture of people. You know, it's old and young. Some old people say, yes, I'm African, I'm very proud. And then someone say, no, I'm not African. They say, no. They don't want anything to do with Africa, because what they see about Africa is just poverty. They don't see anything. And that's what they've been taught by their masters, who are the colonizers, who are French people. And then I'm sure you understand the French relationship to Africa itself. It's still very brutal, still very current in parts of Africa, West Africa. They're still very much there, still very much present. So they've been taught. In fact, I feel I would go as far to say that Guadeloupeans have been taught to feel that they're even different from their Caribbean brothers and sisters.
Huh.
Yes, it's a really, I always say to people, you have to come here, because I never thought this. I mean, you know, when I thought about the Caribbean, I always think about, you know, the English speaking islands, because I speak English, you know. I think about, you know, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Dominica, Jamaica, St. Kitts, you know, all the English speaking islands, Antigua. Guadeloupe or Martinique don't really come up because it's French. So they never really came on the horizon. But it should put me here for me to see things, you know, what's going on. And it's just a really strange kind of happiness and kind of their real proudness of, because everybody, it's weird. I cannot put a finger on the existence here, because you go to Carnival, you know, like for instance, Carnival, it's most Africanness I saw in a Carnival. Like I've been to other carnivals on the islands, and it's totally different. It's more of a Caribbean identity. But you come to the Carnival at the very beginning, it's just Africa. It's Africa.
Wow.
They won't say they're African. It's a schizophrenic kind of existence.
Do you think that's because, well, you already made mention as it's what they've been taught and what's been passed down to them?
No, it's what they've been taught, because, you know, having said that, I was teaching in the college and lycée, which is like the high school and the colleges over here. I teach English, and they don't have any Black history, and they don't have any Black history.
Really?
There's no Black history.
What do they teach
in their schools?
What's the history curriculum like there?
Well, there's French history.
French history?
Yes, it's French white history. They don't have black history in their schools.
Wow.
I know. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's from here. She's Guadeloupean, but she's very pro-black, so her thoughts are different. And I said, she goes, no, 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 because she's a teacher as well, but she teaches Creole. She goes, no, 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 we don't do, no, they don't have African, no, no, they don't do it. I said, but why? There's no. And I remember one time I just asked a little girl about when she was about 13 about Martin Luther King, and she had no idea what I was really talking about.
Wow. Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a really, I don't know if I'm meant to be here for a reason, but it's very, but then you meet some other people who are very proud to be African, and a lot of them like the Rastafarians, they're all about going back to Africa, so they have that kind of mentality. But the everyday Guadeloupean, not really. They're not really touching on the Africanness at all, because they've been indoctrinated, brainwashed that Africa is dirty, it's poor. The children have got flies over their eyes. That's all they know.
Well, I can say I think that's a Caribbean-wide thing, because even here in St. Kitts and Nevis, you have a situation where even I, who speak about Africa, I don't want to know what you're talking about. I mean, these people, I mean, what was so successful for the colonizer was that they were able to brainwash not just the first set, but that teaching went down all the way down to us. And because most of us have never taken the opportunity to learn anything, because most to learn about Africa, you have to actually do that reading outside of school, because school will teach you what it wants to teach you. But hearing that the French, because being a colony still, it has its drawbacks. Of course, you think because you have a European passport, it's a good thing, but being a colony, you never get a chance to actually chart your own course in any way. Right? And it's kind of a shame, because people I think I had a friend of mine who went to Martinique and Guadeloupe for a conference, and he was telling me they can't, the local authorities can't institute anything in their government unless France says yes. Right. And this is the type of and so he was just like, as you say, he was a bit surprised, because he comes from Grenada, and Grenada is an independent country, and he's like, it's the first time he went to, I think it's Guadeloupe and Martinique, and he says, as you said, it's a completely different existence. Like, they depend on the French too much, as he says. Right. So okay. So
that's what I would say, that Pan-Africanist is kind of just really, it's kind of a socially isolating thing, because when I was in England, ironically as well, in England I could go to all these Pan-African things and see what's going on around me, but here, I mean, it happens, but you have to really have your ear on the ground, and I've not really been here for that long. I don't really know anybody, really, so it's a very kind of social isolating thing. So for me to really talk about Ife to anybody has not really been an opportunity for me to do that, to be honest with you.
Well, let me ask you, in terms of maybe the people that you do know, how present are they on social media? Because this is how basically people get the information out and make things more accessible. How prevalent are they on social media?
Well, who are you saying? Who?
Like the people you know in Guadeloupe, do they have a
Really, to be honest with you, I don't really know that many people, because I keep myself to myself, because that's the preservation thing. Because I've been, over the years, I've really kind of extended myself to a lot of people, and it distrained me. So really, to be honest with you, it's a self-preservation thing. I mean, yes, when I go out there, I'm very social, but to actually have people in my inner, no.
Right.
It's just, I know it's sad, because I'm a very social person, but I just got to a point in my life, and I said, okay, well, this is what I like, and this is what I don't like, and this is where I'm going to stay what I like. Whereas before, it's like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, but I'm just going to mix myself up, and But now I'm just saying, no, I need to really isolate and as I get deeper and deeper with Ifa, I'm seeing that now. If there was a group in Guadeloupe that had Ifa, and I would go to it, I'd be part of it, because obviously we all have the same kind of mindsets, but it's about mindsets. I cannot be dealing with people who are going to demonize what I'm saying about, for instance, I remember saying to somebody over there, yes, have my altar. And she looked at me. It's like sudden. And then she just, and I'm thinking, this is crazy, because let me tell you something. In Guadeloupe, they have a large Indian population because they came over, after enslavement to be the indentured, okay? To do the plantains after the enslaved people said, we've had enough, we're going, we're leaving, okay? So they brought the Indians over from India. They brought the lowest caste, okay? The lowest caste.
Sure.
So you still have the Indians over here. In fact, economically, they're even stronger than the black people over here, okay? And I think that's like that in Trinidad as well. I know that's like that in Trinidad. So you have the Indian population over here, very big. They have their land, and they're quite rich. So every day when I go to work, when I went to work, I worked in Capistaire, which is more like North Guadeloupe, and you drive past this great big temple. It's the Hindi temple.
Right.
And I said, wow. So if we had if there was an Ifa temple, if I decided to build an Ifa temple, they'd say, oh, no, Obi, voodoo. But the Indians can have it and everything. It's normal for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Sure.
Our African spirituality in an African sensed territory is still demonized, whereas the Indians can have that. And it's the same in Trinidad, because I've been to Trinidad before. You have a lot of the Indians, having their Hindu and all that, and it's okay. But as soon as an African, a black person steps out of Christianity or Catholicism, they're demonized.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I guess it's the mentality of a immigrant and the mentality of an enslaved person, because when you come from an enslaved person, everything about you is evil. You're taught that everything about you is evil. These people came over with their systems in that, and nobody tried to take it from them.
Yeah.
Right? So they had no issue carrying on. We, on the other hand, had a certain conditioning, a certain breaking of our minds. And this is why these conversations are important, because today you're going to tell us what exactly is Ifa, because we've said Ifa a few times and we have not explained what is Ifa, Sister Taiwo Williams.
What does it mean to me? Well, let me
No. What in general is Ifa first, and you're going to say about yourself.
Yeah, but Ifa can mean different things to different people.
Right.
I can say what it means to me on a subjective, manner.
Okay.
So, or I can talk to you on an intellectual manner. So,
well, we can do both. We can do both.
Yep.
This show is about all of that, personal, and we're talking about in general. So go ahead. Let's deal with the intellectual part first. Break it down for us.
Okay. Ifa is okay. How can you put it? Ifa is like religious. I don't say religious. Let me say spiritual philosophy of the Yoruba people in Nigeria. It's like a system of divination, and it refers to the verses of the literary corpus, which is, I guess you would say, in a kind of Aramaic faith. Their Bible is known as the Odu. Okay, so that's how I can really say what Ifa is. If you're going to break it down, you can break it down, right? So it's really from the literary corpus. It's known as the Odu Ifa, right? And Owumila is identified as the grand priest. Okay, that's how they would say it. Okay, and it's he who reveals the divinity and prophecy to the world. So if you wanted to pull it, so you can say God. Okay, to make it much more palatable or easier. So that's Owumila. Okay, and then you have the Babalaos or the Inyanfa. The Babalaos are the Baba means in Yoruba means father, right? And Lawa is like father of the secrets, of the mystery secrets. That's what it means, to break it down.
Okay.
Or you have the Iyanifa. Iyanifa is the female version of the Babalawa, okay? And they use either the divining chain, which is known as the opale, or the sacred palm or cola nuts, which is called Ike, and they have a wooden divination tray, which is called Opo Ife. And on this, they do, they do their work, basically. Ife is practiced throughout the Americas. We're talking everywhere in America, not just North America, also talking about South America as well. Very big in Brazil. In fact, the King of Oni just recently went to Brazil. He's like the king of all Yorubas in the world. So you're looking at it in Brazil, everywhere in South America, and obviously West Africa. It's also in Cuba, but they call it Santeria Lukimi, and also the Canary Islands as well. So it plays a critical. It's really a form of a complex religious system, okay, and it plays a critical role in the traditions of Santeria, Candomblé, Polo, Voodoo, and any other African American faith. So, Ife touches everything. It's the top, and it's got many branches. But Ife is the go-see in a sense.
No, okay.
Okay.
No, hey, that was great for me. I mean, I'm glad the people who might be listening or who will listen later will get a better idea what is Ife. Now, you said it means different things to different people. Personally, what do you mean by
that? Okay. Ife has become a trendy buzzword lately. Okay?
Sure.
It's become very trendy. And I'm glad it's become trendy amongst Africans, Blacks, melanated people. I'm glad. Okay? Not so glad about it going to the others, but that's my own personal thing. So it means things, I think when people are becoming, because a lot of people are coming out, they're leaving the traditional religion of, Catholicism and Christianity, and they're discovering new things. And then more and more African Americans and people, maybe people from the Caribbean, but maybe, I don't know if they're so as vocal as people from the African American communities, really finding out more about Ife and what it actually means to them. So I think everybody, like with religion, everybody has their own personal ways of relating to what it means to them personally. You understand? So right. It's a really subjective thing. Religion or spirituality is subjective anyway. So I can't really sort of say what it means to people because everybody's different way of understanding what Ife is about. They're beginning to as well.
What does Ife mean to you in terms of Black consciousness? I know you just made a reference to saying you're not exactly glad it's going to the others. I get that, but in your own consciousness, Black consciousness, how does Ife walk within that?
Well, for me, it's been an awakening for me. Because I'll go back, it's funny because as we were going through our different technicalities and trying to, connect and everything like that, I was thinking, what does it really mean to me? And I think we were sort of talking, you were talking about it as well, briefly, we touched upon it. What does it mean for me and how comes? You see, it's always been in my family. And I think if you spoke to any other person from the Yoruba people, specifically, because that's where it comes from the source, they would tell you the same thing. It's always been there. It's always been undercurrent in each family, but it's something they don't want to talk about in the open. Let me just give you an example. I'm a twin. Taiwo is my name. It's a twin's name, Ibeji. Okay, Ibeji is no Orisha as well. So I have a twin. I have two sets of twins. My mother was called Mama Ibeji. Mama Ibeji means twins' mum. It's a title they give to women who have twins. It's a really high title to have. When they say Mama Ibeji, that's a high title to have in the Yoruba society, okay? So she gave birth because they say you're blessed. When you give birth to twins, it's a blessing because they're coming to look after you. And it's got all many meanings. Okay? So when I was a child growing up, now I was going to church. Yes, all this and all that. The women getting down in the aisles. Yoruba Christianity, Pentecostal church. Okay, but every Saturday, when I was a child growing up, living at home, Mama always used to give us, me, my sister, and my brothers, black-eyed beans every Saturday without fail. And I used to think, you can't say anything because your mother, she's giving you something to eat. And it was without fail, she used to give it to us every Saturday. And I used to think, why? And I remember asking my mother one time, and she just looked at me, and so I thought, okay, I better not ask, because your mama looks at you and you don't ask more questions.
Right.
So it's really when I was older, growing up, and I was looking into, all of this, and I thought, and it's like, wow, it's like a light bulb went off. I did some research around Ibeji, and when they have the altar, what do they give Ibeji, the Orisha? It's the offering black-eyed beans.
Wow.
They give them black-eyed beans. So I thought, wow, that's what my mama was doing all the time, giving us black-eyed beans. So it was at the altar, and she did have an altar, but she used to hide it very, very well in her room. First of all, it's very rare that we could go into my mama's room because she used to have a key to her door, I remember one time going and I saw some candles, there was and I saw some black-eyed beans in a little bowl, but I didn't think of anything because I was only about know what it was. When I started thinking, oh my goodness, my mama, she edgy. So little things like that I saw in that was, Hello?
Yeah, you just broke up bad for like about a minute.
Okay.
So I heard up to the part where you said you saw candles and black-eyed beans in her room.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So
yeah.
my mom used to bring it to us every Saturday without fail. But then I found out that she had her altar to Beji in her room with the black-eyed beans. And she used to give to us, and she used to give it to her altar. But she was a Christian.
But so she never spoke to you about this? Never?
No, never. Only after her death, I found out so much about my mama. It's only after she passed and she became an ancestor that I began to find out so much.
Wow.
It was just amazing. And that really blew my head,
Wow.
But she never did. And, she never spoke Yoruba to us because we were born in England and she just wanted us to speak the Queen's English. So all these things, she deprived us in her own way, because I can speak a little bit of Yoruba, I can write it and I can hear it, but I can't speak it because my mother never spoke it, but I can understand it. If I'm around Yoruba people, if I was around there for maybe for 2 years, I would definitely be able to speak it, but I cannot speak it fluently. But I understand it and I can write it, so.
I got you. Okay. Yeah. Well, I would definitely find parallels in what you're talking about and how people here in St. Kitts do it, because anytime I've always had this kind of feeling. It's like whenever Christian people have a problem, have any problem, somebody stole from them, something, they always secretly go and find what we call an obia person.
Right.
So I always used to ask, well, if you have to go to an obia person, isn't the obia more powerful than your Christianity? I don't understand.
Right.
Whatever issues you have, they go to obia. They either go to somebody here or they travel. These people would travel to go to St. Martin,
It's
other
same
countries.
here. My husband was telling me that at one time Guadeloupe was known for out of the Caribbean. They just all come.
Yes,
Everybody knew about Guadeloupe, and they still have it. You just who you know. It's who you know.
yes, definitely.
They still have it. They still have their candles. They still burn their candles. They still go to the, I don't know what they call it. There's a name. Somebody told me the name and I've forgotten. There's a name. It's a Creole name they use, and they say it in a whisper. You don't really say it out loud because it's still very secret. Because, they still have their Catholic,
Sure.
God, whatever. But it's very secret because I remember I asked somebody, they goes, oh, yes, they whispered it to me and I had to write it down. I said, how do you spell it? They didn't even want to say it out loud. But you come here into Guadeloupe and you see all the botanicals. You have all the shops that sell the candles, everything, the candles for this, candles for that, sprays for this, sprays for that. They have them here.
Sure. It's just, this is why these conversations, and I hope to have a lot more of them with other people in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
These conversations are important because what makes these systems, some people so undesirable, is that it's the secrecy of it all, right?
Yes.
And when you have to hide something, that's when it takes a life of its own. Then it becomes, it's evil, it's this, it's that. Because when people are ignorant of something, they make up their own stories.
Yes.
Right? And these conversations, I'm hoping to have a lot more of them, and just have people listen and learn that your traditional spiritual systems are not dirty.
I think the time is right though, because I think more and more people are becoming aware of Ifa and other African spiritual traditions.
Definitely.
They want to know why these were hidden, because we kind of adhere to it as well. It's like it's a shame. When my mother died, I found out so many things about my mother, and I was like, it blew my head open, because I was thinking she was this Christian woman. But there was an undercurrent. There's always an undercurrent, of spirituality.
I would say, the step you've taken today, I think is very important for us. I'm hoping to speak to some people in Trinidad and get this conversation going.
Yeah, I know Trinidad have that as well. I mean, it's really isolating here, and I wish I knew some more people. Even one or two, I'd be happy, but. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to, at the very least, because in the Caribbean, because we're so, it's all a bunch of little islands. You have to have these types of platforms to bring people together. Maybe they have weekly conversations. Maybe they have something just to, break that isolation. And have this, because I'm so grateful for you for coming on. Because people who are going to listen to this, because trust me, when I go to like the barber shops, people know me as a guy who I'm very serious about Africa and Pan-Africanism and African spirituality.
Right.
And I've had to speak to some people, and they ask me, "Are you in?" I'm like, "I'm not, because there's no way here for me to be initiated into anything."
Right.
There's no way for me to do it, and I want to, but there's nowhere for me to go. But when I read about these things, and I listen to people and ask questions, and I relay the information, it's like the minds are blown. They never really looked at it like it was something that could be good or something that could be, because they've always been told it's evil.
Right, exactly. So it's just turning people's minds, really, because we've been so brainwashed over centuries. It's centuries, it's centuries. That you have to overturn that way of thinking, and it's baby steps, because I'm very proud of Ifa, but it's just I think it's even more harder for me being in a French-speaking country, and so I kind of have put this wall around me. I have put this because it's self-preservation for me. I'm tired of keeping having to explain people, oh, you voodoo, and I'm tired, so I just rather not say anything unless I can see a little light where somebody will understand. But to be honest with you, I just don't want to, because I'm tired of dealing with ignorance. It's been something with me for a long time, and I've just not really spoken about it. It's only now my husband's hearing me speak about it more and more and more. But I was very kind of quiet about it. I had my altar, had this and had that, but I just did it myself,
Right. So,
I go to the plage, the beach, and I'll take some watermelon out and put it out the sea. And people just watching me. They're not sure because I take an offering to Umaja, to the
wow.
oceans, and they just watch me, and I don't care.
Well, what's that? Explain that for me. What's that?
When you right, because I am Oshun, but Oshun and Yamaja, they're intertwined. So when I go to the ocean, I take my offerings. I'll take some watermelon. Because she loves watermelon, so it's like an offering.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an offering. So when I'm just doing that, people, if there's lots of people on the beach and they see me putting watermelon out in the sea, they're watching me. But that's how it is. I'm not going to explain it to them. I know what I'm doing. It's an offering.
Well,
if I was in Brazil or somewhere, Nigeria, it wouldn't even be a strange thing. But here it's strange, So yeah.
Listen, the more you do your thing in public and not worry about it, maybe somebody will ask a question, and that's important. All we need to do is ask a question.
Yes.
And it'll talk. We'll learn.
It's yeah. I mean, I love somebody I would love, and I would explain it, and and then it's like sharing that knowledge, but. I'm tired of all the kind of crap that I've had with it before. So it's like, you just get to a point, and as I said, to reiterate, it's more about self-preservation more than anything else, because you just get tired. People in their ignorance, I have no time for that anymore. I've got to a point in my life, I'm tired of ignorance, especially amongst my own people. It's like, yes, it's a big sigh.
What was it like in Britain? With you practicing Ifa in Britain?
It was easier because there's so many more people around me who's practicing it. That's the ironic thing. I'm living in Europe, and it was much more easier to do it than it is to do here. There wasn't even not that I am ashamed of it, but there was no kind of a shame attached to it, because you knew the people, and you knew the people you could go and talk to about this or that, or where to get this or that or whatever. It was much more easy, which I find so ironic. I'm here in the Caribbean, amongst the majority of people that live in the Caribbean are African descent. They come from Africa because of enslavement, and it only happened a few hundred of years ago. It wasn't like something that happened millennia or whatever. It happened very recently. Okay, slavery was just a recent thing.
Exactly.
You understand? So I'm in a territory with the majority of people are African descent, whether they want to admit it or not, they are. Okay, so that's but I'm here and I'm seeing people would just have this kind of real negative view about what I'm doing, and it's hard because I don't have that buffer around me like I did when I was in England. There's no buffer, no filter, no nothing.
You made the comment about if being used or being practiced by the others. No, I would interpret that to mean non-Black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it like seeing that?
Being brought into it, and I feel that the Yoruba, the Babalao, you get these. I call them 419 Babalaos, right? Because 419 is a code that they use in Nigeria for people doing fraud. Okay, scam. Okay. So you say 419, 419, which means scam. It's a scam, it's a fraud. So you have these 419 Babala all over on Facebook now, okay? And then you have so many people now who are so interested because, you have the internet. The internet is like an open book. You can type anything in the internet or find anything. So everybody wants to do Ifa now. Everybody wants to be a Babalao. Everybody wants to be this. Everybody wants to be Shango. Everybody, and everybody, and it's like, okay, so you have these white people who have their privilege, they have access to wealth more than we do, so they can go to Nigeria. It's no problem for them to just go to Nigeria and become a quote unquote a Babalawo, and then they go and take it, and it's like you just go on to there's quite a few of those white Babalawos who have their big websites, and they're selling it. They're prostituting my spirituality, and I resent that. You know, I resent that when I see them all the time. Yes, I've just been made. I just have my hand. I have my hand. And it's like, you know, you have no idea. As far as I'm concerned, if it should belong to us as Africans. When I say Africans, I mean Africans in Africa and Africans in the Caribbean and Africans anywhere else where Africans are, okay? But I just resent those people because they always do that. They come and they colonize and then they take it over.
Sure.
You know? Sure. So I resent that. And people say, oh, Iwa Pele, which is good character. And it's like they're kind of
You're breaking up, sister. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Hello?
No. All the time. Right, because you have the definition. All the Audrey's are nothing about.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
It's twisting it around because of those want to allow.
Okay, sister, you just broke up from the time you said.
Hello?
You just broke up from the time you said good behavior.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
I'm here. You just broke up from the time you said good behavior.
Hello? Hello? Yes, hello, I'm here, yeah. Hello, I'm here. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, I think we're having the delay again.
Yeah, so sorry, say that. Hello?
Hey, I'm here. You aren't hearing me?
Yes, I'm here.
No, what happened was that from the time you said good behavior, you just broke up completely.
Yes. Yes, I'm hearing you. Hello?
Hi. Hello? Are you there?